the label that I was signing with heard this exact album, and they said, after they dropped me, they said, do you know how much this hurts us? This is probably album of the year, but there's no way to market that.
Congratulations on this music. I really love it.
Thank you.
Can we talk about that song, You Wore It Better?
Yes, of course.
So, inspired in part by a child-sized, cheap Niagara Falls merch T-shirt.
Yes.
Tell me that story.
I was out with my best friend at the time, and they had purchased this T-shirt. And I remember thinking to myself, like, that is probably the ugliest shirt I've ever seen in my life.
What did it look like?
It kind of looked like if, like, AliExpress wanted to do, like, Niagara Falls merch, but in the, like, Abercrombie & Fitch 2007 era.
Right.
So they kind of, like, they picked it up, and then I was like, but I'm not going to tell them that. They obviously loved it. And then they put it on, and I was like, that's so fresh. Just because they wore it. So then I went and found my size, and I bought it, and then I wore it, and I didn't feel quite as Abercrombie as they did. But I kind of just kept it, and I wore it around the house. It kind of slowly became a pajama shirt just because I felt like I didn't look as good as them. And, you know, we all go through this. And when I was writing the song and then thinking about doing the video in the way that it was executed, I just was like, how do I style myself? How do I execute it in the same way? What better way than to wear an example of, you know, a poor decision at the time because I didn't think I looked as good as that person that initially bought it.
So I saw the video, the one that was filmed on your farm out in Milton, right? That gray Niagara Falls, that's the real T-shirt?
Yeah.
I thought it looked pretty...
It even has like 2 little stains on it, but you can't see it because lighting.
We're going to zoom in and bring up the lighting and exposure now when we do this. I feel like the song, correct me if I'm wrong, and I often am, is about more than just that T-shirt, though.
Yes, 100%. It was just, that was like symbolism. It's about constantly never feeling like you're enough through the music you make, through the clothing that you buy and wear. And I've been wearing hijab for like 20 plus years now. I'm like I put it on pretty young because like I loved it. And it took me like years, not just to develop my own style, but find a way what I like and how I can make it modest. So I was just constantly probably experiencing this feeling of you wore it better 10 times more than the average person was.
Even grander than that, I feel like something that comes up a lot in your work is the idea that if like someone else did this, it would be X, and because I do it, it's Y. You know?
100%. In everything. I wish it was just like one thing, you know. It's with the music I make, it's with the way that I dress, it's, you know, what I might write, and yeah, you wore it better as that. You feel this feeling of like, oh, if someone else did this, someone else who looked differently than me, someone who had different hair than I do, someone who dressed differently than I do, someone who had a different faith than I do. If they did this thing, things would be very different for them. Yeah, guaranteed. Yeah. One of like the biggest questions I love to ask people is like well, after they hear my music and stuff, I'll like overhear people say like, she would be the biggest artist in the world if she wasn't wearing hijab. She would be, 100%. Oh, she would have won best dressed at this event or best this if it wasn't that. Because we all have like a bias, like a subconscious bias that we don't even realize. I have it. You have it. I might even have it towards other people with hijab as well. It's just something that's been embedded. And I think if we ignore it, it's detrimental to my success and many other POC's success, you know?
This is sort of a big question and you could not answer it. Is the feeling that you get when you feel this way empowerment or insecurity?
I think it used to be insecurity, and it was a matter of I would like pray to not look like that or not be like that or make it easier on me. But now I see it as I know that this could never be the best song. I know that this could be the best song if it wasn't mine, but I still want to find a way to make it. So now I take it and like I'm competing with myself, like a version of me that I'm competing with the version if she wasn't a hijabi, if she wasn't, you know, Palestinian, if she wasn't brown. I'm competing with that version if she were to execute the same things. Yeah.
I love the gas station video.
Yeah, thanks.
So can you take us through? It's not quite the music video for the song.
No.
But it's you went to the old gas station you used to work at. How long did you work there in Milton?
Like 4, maybe 5 years.
Wow, so a long time. That's a lot of big things of Pepsi to serve.
Yes, basically. Honestly, it was just the owners were really great. And when I started going back to school or I got another job, he always just let me keep weekends and I needed the money and it was just great.
Tell everybody listening to this what you did for this video.
So I went to the gas station I used to work at and I jokingly was bragging about how successful I am, and I was coercing them into a free car wash if they listened to my new song. And I think it was really funny because I'm obviously like not rich because I wouldn't be like, they're being like, haha, can you please listen to my music? Like, if it was streaming well, like that's the funniest part.
And you got in the car with them.
Yeah, it was actually kind of terrifying to like, but I was with like my 3 like friends. Like I had a producer and like a DOP and my manager. So like, you know, we were scoping it out, but it was very much like for the music. Like I was hopping in a random person's car. They mounted a camera really quickly. We were filming the whole time. And it was a matter of like, we're about to be locked in a car wash listening to my music. It was really cringy actually in the moment.
You have to sit in a room while a stranger listens to you have to sit in their car next to them while a stranger listens to your song.
Yeah, and I can't get out. Cannot escape, cannot get out. Like I'm stuck in the car wash because like, let's just say it's going bad or there's someone says something I don't like. Like I'm stuck there for the 4-minute and 20-second timer.
How did it go?
Went really well.
Yeah?
Yeah. Surprisingly, there was not a single woman, not at the gas station or like at all. I think feminism is happening. Like women aren't filling up their own gas. And I was really proud of that. We did that, ladies. Yeah. I'm so proud of us. We do not fill up gas. Like I have like 6 hours of footage. We do not.
What were people saying to you? What were people saying to you in the...
A lot of people were like, oh, I have to go. Like I'm in a rush.
Okay.
But most of them were like, hell yeah. Like I want to hear the song.
They seem to dig it from what I could see.
Yeah, like they were kind of like, you know, like men love to challenge a bit. They were kind of like, oh, you have let's hear it then. And then like halfway through, they were like admitting, they were like, okay, this is actually pretty fire. It's really good. Like that's you? And I'm like, no, I trapped you to listen to someone else's song, you know?
I really heartily recommend people check out the video. It's really, and it's also funny. Like I knew this from the last time we were talking.
Yeah.
But you know, you're funny, man.
Thank you. I felt like I really had to show them I could be a little funny this time around.
Had to?
Yeah.
Why?
I think everything's been so serious attached to like my image over the last few months, and it's been so heavy that I had to like maybe remind those people that were clicking out that, hey, like there's more to me, you know?
Yeah.
Than just like crying and sadness. So
I got to do a little bit of the crying and sadness over the past few months.
Okay, that's fine.
Can I do a little bit of that?
Yeah.
You had signed to a label to release this upcoming album. Mm-hmm. On October 12th of last year, you posted on TikTok, quote, "My label just dropped me, a Palestinian artist, for being pro-Palestine." What went through your mind after you got dropped?
So I had signed with them maybe like 4 or 5 business days, maybe 4 business days before that. And I've never disclosed this information before. When I went to sign with them in LA, I heard drums playing. And when you go up, the papers are there, cake's there, the label's there. And I go up these stairs outside and I hear these loud drums. And I listen to like indie rock music. So I was like, why are these like hard drums playing? And like the room's kind of shaking a bit. And my manager was grabbing something from the car, so I was alone. And the door opens and there's like a Palestinian anthem playing. And this is like maybe October 5th or something. And I opened the door and I was like, why are you playing this song? And they were like, oh, we wanted to show you we know what it takes to represent a Palestinian artist. And I actually asked them to change it. I felt very uncomfortable. And then they were like, we just wanted to show you, like, we know what it takes and we're willing to do whatever it takes to get your message out. And as sweet as it was, there was just a vibe that I was very uncomfortable with. I asked them to switch it. They were like scrambling. They switched a song. And then my manager came up and he was like, what did I miss? And I was like, oh, it's nothing. It's fine. And we continued. I signed. Everything went fine. I left. I went home. And then October 7th happened. And then a few days later, they dropped me. And like they didn't even call me. They didn't communicate with me. They just like contacted my lawyer and they insinuated that like that it was all terminated. And they insinuated that I was like I can't even say the word on air. So my lawyer called me and told me, and he said they don't even want to talk to you. It's been terminated. And then my manager was in shock. He could not believe that And you have to keep in mind, at this point, I hadn't even made a statement myself. I was just reposting other factual, these are just facts, things that are going on. I'm posting from news outlets and everything. I hadn't put my face to make a proper statement yet. And like, I was crying a lot. I was watching like my entire feed, like everybody that I've paid, worked with, broke bread with, like, I've met your whole family, you've met my family, I've spent the last few years building this EP with, were just unfollowing me like everybody. Nobody was talking to me. It was everybody in the entire industry. And I was fully ostracized. I didn't know what to do, and it still hasn't stopped. And I just thought my entire career was over. Like, I didn't think there was going to be a future in music, and I was mourning my relationships with all of these friends, these people that I've confided in over the last like 3 or 4 years. And then I'm also mourning this entire album that I'm releasing now, because it was ready. It was sitting. It was ready to go.
It was done.
The label that I was signing with heard this exact album, and they said, after they dropped me, they said, do you know how much this hurts us? This is probably album of the year, but there's no way to market that. So I knew I had probably the best body of work I'm probably going to create ever, and there's no one that's going to want to listen to it. And I called up all the labels frantically. We waited a bit of time. We started calling all of them, and they were all like, nope. You have to understand, nope. But bro, you might have album of the year. They all kept saying that. Album of the year, album of the year, album of the year. Sorry, you have to understand, like, da-da-da. It was crazy. And then I waited till the dust settled. Mm-hmm. And then finally there was a distro label. I couldn't even get distro. Like, I'm literally begging people to take my money.
I should say to tell people what that means.
Distribution.
Distro means distribution, like giving it to a company that will, in the old days, put it on shelves in record stores, because that's the only way I can get there because I'm old now. Or would distribute it, put it up on Spotify, put it up on these platforms. Distribute. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So I was basically begging people to take this money of a really great album that unanimously everyone in the industry agreed and were really hyped about prior to October. And nobody wanted to touch it. No one even wanted to like be associated with me. And there was finally one distribution label that was in Toronto that was like, not controversial. They were like, we're edgy. We work with a lot of edgy artists, and they listed a few. And I was like, yeah, like, okay. I don't really think being Palestinian is edgy, but go off, King. Let's do it. And then they were like, come, like, it's final. Like, it was finalized. They were ready to make it happen. And all of the car wash video, all of the marketing stuff, all of it was already done. They had it all packaged. All they had to do was distribute it. And I don't know what conversation they had. I flew to LA, like they said, to sign a distro label with a distro label. I don't know what happened in that 24 hours, but they were like, hey, it's not going to work out. And I was ready in LA. This was like April 27th or 8th. Mm-hmm. And that night I said, May 23rd, we're releasing the first song independently, and we're going independent fully. No publishing, no distribution, no label. We're doing it. They don't want me. I'm begging them to take my money, you know?
Yeah.
So that night we decided, and we did it. I hadn't even seen Stick a Gum video at that point.
Can we talk about so before we do Stick a Gum video, let's talk a little bit about the song is about. Thank you for telling that story, by the way. No problem. Not dissimilar to the first song we talked about in terms of what it's about.
Yeah. So Stick a Gum is about how many times I feel like I've written great songs, and I'll play it for industry people and stuff, and they're like, oh, this is great, like Selena Gomez will sound great on this, or this person will sound great on this. And I'm like, but it just wouldn't sound great on me.
Well, yeah, what's the line? I swear if I showed you a song
I made, you'd say it's not your taste.
If anyone else but me wrote it.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece. You're saying something about the music industry there.
Yeah, it's the whole entirety of like Stick a Gum is about how much I complain about not being loved and appreciated the way that I think I truly deserve to be. But there's also a part of it, the way that I love is I'm going to love you and want you whether or not you want me back, whether or not you love me back. So it's easier, the chorus is like, it's easier loving you than to know why I need to. I'd rather just keep writing songs and shooting my shot than to go sit with a therapist and dissect like why I need this win so bad.
I will say it's so lovely and nourishing to hear you say, I'm not being loved as well as I deserve to be loved. It's like nourishing for me to hear you say I deserve it. Like I know how much because it can go the other way.
Yeah.
It can go to like I don't deserve to be loved. I don't deserve this. Blah 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 blah. It's nice to hear you say I deserve to be loved. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, it's definitely like a new era. I think if I was younger, I'd be like, I wouldn't admit it at least. I think I admit it now.
Do you know what the kids would say? You're in your self-compassion era.
Yeah, self-love.
I want to ask about the video for Stick of Gum.
Yes.
It was shot in Jericho in the West Bank. You have family there. You went there for about a month in March of this year, 2024. Quite the story around this trip and filming this video. I'd like to imagine that I'm getting on the boat and I'm handing you the steering wheel of the boat, and you can pilot the story on the seas however you want.
I love the pun. So with You Wore It Better, initially I had shot it in Canada on my home, on my 11-acre farm, because home means a lot to me, and that's where most of the songs come from. It's just me on that farm writing stuff. And I was just like, oh, to connect it back to what I was, let's shoot it one take, referencing the Yellow music video, Coldplay. Just let's do it like that, keep it simple. And then I had shot that like maybe a week before I left to Palestine. Palestine was very abrupt. It was, if this week goes to plan in Canada and I shoot all these videos, which was the car wash video, the You Wore It Better, a few other videos that haven't come out yet, then I deserve to go back and see my family because it kept getting delayed. I was supposed to go like November, December. It just kept getting pushed. And I was like, I need to go. Like my grandma's not in the best state. And I was like, I need to go visit her. So when that whole week had went really well shooting in February, I was like, let's book it. Like I think I booked it 6 days before I left. And me, my mom, and my sister booked our flight. We flew over. It took us 2 days to cross by foot to get into Palestine. And then when I was there, I was in this moment of, I shot all that content because I didn't want to look like I gave up, that I let the industry win. But I did not want to shoot. I had already decided that the album wasn't coming out. I 100% left to Palestine being like, I don't think I'm going to come back wanting to release this. There's just no support. There's no point.
The song or the video?
The entire album.
Okay.
So Stick of Gum, we didn't have the video yet, nothing. So Chaz was back in LA, my manager, and he was just like seeing me. I wasn't posting anything online when I was there for safety reasons, of course. And I concealed it until like the last few days I was there, maybe like I had been there like 3 weeks, and I finally posted the snippet of me singing over like in Palestine. Everyone knew where I was, and it kind of like performed really well, and everyone was reposting it. So it was very public where I was, and the public loved seeing me home for the first time, and like I felt like a human again online. Like I felt like somebody that wasn't this like I felt like a freak show since October. And for the first time, I felt like I was just humanized again. And my manager calls me, and I was leaving in 3 days. He calls me and he's like, I need you to shoot a music video there. And I was like, I'm not working. Like, I'm here seeing my family. You can't even make it 10 minutes driving. It's so dangerous. I can't just go out and shoot a video. I only have my family. Who's going to shoot the video? And he was very adamant. Like, he was pushy to a point where like it got a little like where I was upset, being like, leave me alone. And then I was like, okay, fine. Find me a DOP in Palestine.
A director of photography?
Yeah. Find me a director of photography that's in Palestine, a language he does not speak, a country he's not from. So I was like, find me one. Yeah, and we'll shoot it. Yeah, buddy. He texts me, and he's like, hey, we have a call in 10 minutes, 20 minutes after the call. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I found a DOP in Ramallah, Palestine, which is like 20 minutes from me. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I know people. So we get on FaceTime, and the guy's like, I'm speaking to this guy, Aram, the director. And he's just like, what song do you want to do? I was like, maybe Stick of Gum's my favorite song. Like, I don't have a video idea for it. And we've run out of budget. He was like, say less. I'll meet you tomorrow. So I cross over. I meet him. We draw it out for like 3 hours. I had to leave because it was very dangerous. So I had to make it back home. He was like, I will be at your family's villa at like noon. I'll see you tomorrow. And it's very, of course, very dangerous. We don't know if they could abruptly close the borders for months on end. We don't know what's going on in like city to city, like from Winston Churchill to Mavis Road. that's like some of the distance, like there's cross like borders between each of like every 10, 15 minutes. So we were really just like, we could never see each other again. This may not even happen. So the next day he shows up at noon. We shoot the video for a couple hours. And the whole idea that we had was we want to show Palestine in a light that has never been seen. Some people didn't even know Palestine existed until October. And now we want to show them in a way where we're humanized again. We wanted to capture that, and we did it, and it was one of the best days of my life. Like, I got to swing out of a car, and there were people like honking and waving. Like, they were just so proud. They didn't even know what I was doing, and they were just so proud of it. And it was so beautiful, and like, I have chills just thinking about it. And Aram almost had to sleep over because it was so dangerous to get back.
This is the DOP.
Yeah. Aram, the director, couldn't. We were sending him home because they were going to abruptly close the borders. And then we were literally making a bed for him, ready for him to sleep over, just in case. He ended up making it past, like, cross the border back to his home 2 minutes before they closed it. But he had the film with him because we shot on Super 8, and I needed the film. There's no place to develop it in Palestine. So now I'm leaving in like 30-something hours. He has the film in his city. I have to get the film before I leave. And that's if the film can even make it. You can't like ship it out, nothing, right? It will get confiscated. So the next morning, I tell my mom, I'm like, we got to drive over to like Ramallah and we got to get this film or else there's no video. And my mom's like, bet, get in the car, let's go. And I was like, okay. So we go, we shoot like the cover art that day in Ramallah. I take the 35 millimeter film to develop, and I take the Super 8 and I go back to our house. And we basically, I'm with him. He's taking the pictures, and he's like, out of nowhere, he's like, you got to go. And I was like, what do you mean? He had gotten a message on his phone saying they're invading and they're closing the borders, and there's a threat from Iran. Like that Iran's going to send rockets over. Yeah. So now we're in the middle of Ramallah, which it's technically like maybe 20, 30 minutes away from where my family's house is. But because of all the borders and the traffic, it could take like 2-3 hours. So my mom like with the car. I'm up in the building running down, grabbing all my stuff, trying to say bye, hopping in the car. We're trying to make it home as quickly as possible. Lo and behold, we get back to the house, and like within the hour, everyone's in lockdown screaming to get back into their houses, that the ground shaking, rockets are being sent over. It's like terrifying. The first like, I would say 30 minutes, everybody's screaming, trying to run back to their houses, screaming kids' names outside to like, you know, people are like at the stores and stuff, and you're just trying to get as much family as you can inside. And it was like all night. And I had my flight the next day in Jordan. So I was like, they had announced that all air passes were closed. And I was like, oh, I'm not making it out. And last time, like when this happened 20 years ago with my mom, she got trapped there for 8 months. They didn't open any airports, and there's no airports in Palestine. You have to cross by foot, right? So they closed all of it, so my mom couldn't get out. So my mom was having panic attacks too, because it was like PTSD from when she was pregnant with my sister and couldn't get out. And it was like 8 months. So I was trying to calm my mom down, and then like the house is shaking, and it's just like it felt like VFX for like a movie, like something you're listening from like World War II, or it's just the craziest thing ever. And we were packing because we were scheduled to leave that next morning. We just stopped halfway through, and we were just like, let's just sit in the moment, because like we're obviously not going anywhere. And I had this film, and I was just like, guys, just in case, someone's got to get this film out. Like I didn't even know what the film looked like the Super 8 that we had and the 35 millimeter. I didn't even know, like, this film's been sitting. I have no idea if it's even worth it, but just in case everybody knows the film's here, let's get it out after, you know? But the next morning we woke up at like 6 a.m. My mom woke me up because we'd finally fallen asleep around 4. And she was like, they opened all the airways, the borders are open. Like, it's like nothing happened. Like, this is their life. Like, something so traumatic could happen like that. And then it's just like everyone's resuming going and buying bread. The weirdest, like the craziest thing. And then it was also like, I didn't want to leave now. I don't know. I just felt so like alive for the first time, and now I have to leave. It was so weird.
How was your heart when you got on the plane?
I didn't want to leave. That was like the saddest. And it's not even. I didn't want to leave because I felt like I like spent a month there, and I was one with everyone. Like no life is greater than anyone that's living there. You just kind of like it's not a bunch of people. It's like one soul. I don't know how to explain it. And I felt like I was breaking that when I left, and I felt like I let them down. I don't know. Like it was so weird. And I kept like messaging everyone being like, I'm going to be back. I'll be back. And usually I go like once a year or once every 2 years. But like every night I'm just like, oh, I have to go back because I don't know. I felt like I it's like, I don't know, when you see your kids go off on the school bus and stuff and you're going to see them when they get off, but it's just like, I feel so bad, I don't know. It just felt like that. So I didn't want to go. And when I made it to LA, I was extra devastated because I went to LA to develop the film and to meet with that label.
Did you fly directly to LA?
I stopped in Toronto for a few hours and then went directly to California.
Okay.
And like, that's why I was crying when they terminated that new contract, because I only left because I was like, I have to get some type of an investment. I have to get some type of money to like support this. And I left like everyone to go do that and I couldn't even get it. So yeah, it was,
The song's doing very well.
It is.
I mean, I think over 1 mil on Spotify right now.
Almost 2.
Almost 2 milli.
Under 2 months.
It's a really, really beautiful song.
Thank you so much.
And I'm happy. I'm happy you got to tell the story. You don't have to answer this question if you don't want to answer this question. Have you heard since from anyone who made the decision to drop you? Have you heard?
The CEO tried to frantically call, like, of the initial label.
Yeah.
Well, after I posted the "We Live in Cities," that went really viral. After that, and like Bella and Lord and everyone had posted it, he reached out and was like...
Bella Hadid and Lord posted a cover of a Lord song you made. Yeah, that went viral.
Yeah, and like that really impacted like millions, if not hundreds of millions of perspective over the situation. And after that, he reached out frantically to my manager and was like, we fucked up. We have the voicemail still. And he was like, we fucked up. Like, can I talk to her, please? Like, blah, 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 blah. And Chaz was just like, you couldn't even get on the phone to tell her, like, hey, this isn't going to work out. You have to understand. It's just not going to, you didn't even give her that common decency, and you gambled the livelihood of a Palestinian refugee. And it's like, you're never going to speak to her again.
I tell you this, I am very grateful that you came in.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. You guys are the first to hear me out, to want to hear the story. So thank you guys.